Hi there, I'm Chef Dario Tomaselli, and one of the most important things, I'm honored to be an Italian and an Italian chef. And the great award of La Cucina Italiana, Patrimonio of Humanity from UNESCO, it's a story to tell to all our mother, grandmother, our culture, our chefs that actually started and proudly represent what is La Cucina Italiana.
So it's a pretty special moment.
It is. It is. It's probably one of the most incredible moments as a young cook. But when I think about Patrimonio of Humanity of Italian cuisine for Italy from UNESCO, I really think about the grandmothers, the mother that taught us the little things that were very important, the traditions. You know, Italy is about tradition, Italy is about culture, then divides between every single region. And most important, I think, is product.
Well, I think this moment is so special because a lot of people don't understand the real phenomena around this, because usually it's a region, it's a certain type of dish,
Right.
it's a certain type of, it's all regions of Italy,
Right.
it's all dishes, and it is the World Heritage for this. So it's quite a thing for Italians, and I keep on joking with you that Italians are stubborn, but the Dutch are too. But that's one of the things I think that has been so great in keeping the traditions alive, because the Italians have been so stubborn to say, no, this is the way we're keeping it. No, this is the way we're having our product. No, this is the way we're doing things in our life. Hence why we do the Mediterranean lifestyle, because they're really rooted in, like you said, the grandmothers and everything that have happened, right? So for 40 years, you've been cooking. Tell us, what it's meant to you, and what cooking Italian and keeping to those traditions, promoting Italiani, made in Italy products, like what has it meant to you?
Well, it's everything. It's everything. We were taught as a young child, and the importance of really respect and understanding the product. And I often say, respect the farmer who grows the product. A farmer spends 9 months to a year to bring us a beautiful product, and a cook can screw it up in 30 seconds. So I really respect the product, understand the importance of it, and cook it and represent it perfectly. That is the beauty. Understanding the regionality, understanding the seasonality, but the most important thing, understand the product. So that's, to me, is the most important thing. And as a young cook, I remember when I started, the hotel school, or just even my grandmother when she was start cooking, is those flavors, the aroma, the freshness. Then you just, as soon as you walk into the house, it's right there. To me, that's what is heritage of Italian cuisine is all about. We smell Italy, we see Italy, we taste it, we hear it. It's all this big part that we are really proud, and we, as Italian, we are always very proud. And this award, I think, is probably, compels the circle of proudness of Italians.
As you're talking, you're making me salivate thinking about all those dishes. But I think that was one of the reasons you got, your family is from the hotel industry, right, and butchers and restaurants and all of that. But I think it was your grandmother in the kitchen that really wanted you to get into this industry and remembering those cultures. And me as a North American,
right,
I listen to these stories, and it's true. When you think of them, you get goosebumps. It's those cultures. It's embedded in you, in everything that you're doing. So it's not only just the product, but it's also the culture.
It's humongous, the culture. The culture is everything. I believe that culture is what makes the world goes around. And I think we need to be proud of our culture. And I think this award from UNESCO has been very important, because it's about the Cucina Italiana, but it's very much about our culture. The culture is the foundation of every single thing. And to me, it always reminds me of the importance. The reason I am what I am is because, those days then, being in a counter with my grandmother rolling gnocchi or making ravioli during Christmas time, all those little flavor and those memories, then they are encompassing your brain, then you took it for granted when you were a young kid, and then now they're so much important in your life, and you want to share it to the newer generation. This is why I spent 18 years of my life in partnership with the college here in Canada and with Alma in Italy to showcase to the younger generation Italian cuisine. That is important. The generation needs to represent it. It needs to be moved from generation to generation with respect. That's important. I always say to young cooks, it's all nice and dandy, but the most important thing, you need to respect what you're doing, be passionate about what you're doing, respect the product you're receiving, and then understand how to put it together.
For 20 years, you've been doing this program with the college to get chefs to get their masters in Italian cuisine.
Right.
And there's one part of it where you teach them in Canada how to cook, the skills, what's needed. But the biggest part, and I've seen it because I've come with you, is when you go to Italy. And those young chefs, you're training them, but you're engrossing them into the different restaurants, in the culture and the way the Italians treat their product, the way they do things, the way they carry on that culture. And that's the biggest part of it, I find, that's been shared. So do you agree with that?
100%. I think Italian cuisine is worldwide. But in everywhere you go, you have to represent it properly. And the responsibility being in North America and being proud to live in North America right now, in my heart is always the respect and the representation of Italian cuisine. So it's very important whenever we transmit the message to the younger generation of cooks, we really are honest and we remember always those traditions. So when they transfer themselves to Italy or whatever they're going to be in Italy, from the northern part of Italy all the way to the southern part, then everything changed with the climate, changed with the season, changed with the tradition. That is the beauty of Italian cuisine. That is why Italian cuisine got this heritage award from UNESCO. This is a proud moment for Italian, for all Italian. This is a proud moment for grandmothers, for mothers. They taught us, because at the end of the day, that's where it all started. He started from hundreds and hundreds of years ago when, they taught us simple thing. Then at that time, we maybe did not appreciate it because, again, we do these things, but the respect, that traditional of where to get your bread every morning, where to get your fish every Friday, where to get your meat, where to get your butter, your honey, your cheese, all those things. Because when you go from Piemonte, Val d'Aosta, all the way to Campania, to Sicily, to Marche, every single thing has their own tradition. And all their traditions are specials. And this is why we are going to be so proud of it.
Yeah. And so we always talk about the Mediterranean lifestyle, and some people are like, what is that? And not understanding that, food is one part of it. And eating things slow, eating things together, eating things from the earth first, right. Being able to follow some of those traditions, slowing down, and how important it is. So there's so many other things to the culture that is added in with the Mediterranean lifestyle that we talk about, right. and sharing that with people. So I think this whole opening kind of brings more attention to the traditions that are Italian, the people that have put themselves forward, like you, and speaking on behalf of the product, running the program to help teach people this, being able to get people to understand, to taste the food, the flavors. When we do our retreats, we engross them in the Mediterranean lifestyle. It's just not another bucket of rocks. It's just not another pasta that's put on the table. There is so much around that story that's so important. And then we get into the specific products. You know, when we take people to Parmigiano Reggiano as example, or we go to we went to go make the pasta, the pizza,
That's right.
and we use the actual grains from the local area. Explain to people some of the details around the places that we've been to, the importance of the quality of product, and how sometimes people don't understand that Parmesan is not Parmesan. It's so different.
That is the biggest thing that we need to understand. Forget about this Italian sounding and focus on Italianity. And that's the misconception. There is no Parmesan, there is Parmigiano. There is Parmigiano Reggiano, or there is Grana Padano. And that we want to be very clear with that. Parmigiano Reggiano, for example, is a product, for example, then you think about the Casaro, the cheesemaker. Then he works 365 days a year. In the old time, the Casaro had to work 365 days a year. He cannot take a day off because Parmesan cheese is two types of milk. It's the milk from the night before and the first milk in the morning. And you have to make sure that you are always there. It's a natural product. It's milk and salt. That's it. And aging, Mother Nature. So there is nothing really you can do other than babysitter. Parmigiano Reggiano is one. Aceto balsamico is another one. Fontina Valdostana. Prosciutto di Parma. Every single thing has their story. You know, if you go to the area like Culatello di Zibello, but if you go in the southern part, San Marzano tomato, the golden product of Italy, the pure gold, which is olive oil. You know, now everybody's gonna say in Liguria they got the best olive oil because they are, because they're proud of their heritage. And then in Tuscany they will say, well, we have the best olive oil. Well, I discovered, for example, going to Calabria, how amazing their olive oil is, you know. And I go back to the conversation we had with a person that is very dear to me, Alfonso Iaccarino, which he said, you know, the responsibility of being passionate about the product and the well-being of people allows people to be healthier. Let's be honest. Food is our medicine. Food is what we are. And if we are responsible on what we're eating, what we put into our system, we will live longevity. And this is why Italianity is just that. Italianity is just that. Italianity is not just spaghetti and tomato sauce. You know, it's not. And, you know, because, you know, tomato, the prime of the tomato is in September when you pick them, okay? In the winter, you don't have tomato in the winters, you know, but you have the preserve that you made of the can of tomato, the high quality of tomato from San Marzano, from Mutti, from whatever they're going to be. But the culture remains the same, you know. Now we are around the time of Christmas time, you know, to me is a memory. And I go back to my grandmother again, then, you know, polenta and tapelucco. You know, polenta was a big part in the northern part of Italy. Zampone, cotechino, all these beautiful little memories, then they were very important. It was not about the gift, it was about the tradition. I remember the Christmas Eve, my grandmother making, you know, ravioli in brodo, with this aromatic broth from this old chicken that she had. And she really makes sure and care. For 3-4 days or even weeks before, she would make ravioli to make sure they were there, ready for us. Proper mostarda di Cremona. And it was not a thing. Miele, then it was coming, honey, which I hated when I was a young kid, and still to this day sometimes I'm not a big fan of it. But it would come from a specific area. If you would make limoncello, it would have to come from the Amalfi Valley there, from the Sorrentinian coast. Respect. And I think one thing we learn as we get old, and UNESCO has maximized these things to us in Italian cuisine, is really make us proud of what we have done. Not what we have done, what we continuously are going to be doing, and what our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, and grandfathers, then they work so hard on the field, they make sure and they brought it to us. So this is an award for them. We just follow through. We are conduit, basically. We have a responsibility right now to transmit this message and never stop. Keep working harder to the next generation.
Yeah, the stubbornness that goes with that. But it's interesting, there's so many spin-offs of this, and one of the things are, if a label's been put on something in Italy, then all of a sudden it can say made in Italy, but not necessarily it is. And I've noticed this over the time period of being with you, and what I've known as a North American, as an example beforehand, with Parmesan, with different products, and how they aren't true Italian. And I've learned so much around that. And one of the things that, when we talk about our brand being the Mediterranean lifestyle, and we've been dubbed the king and queen of it, is there's no Mediterranean diet. And it's interesting, we were in Calabria together, and we showcased this to people on our retreats, what true Italianity, what true food is. But they were talking about the Mediterranean diet and how it was a North American in the Second World War that kind of created it, when really it's just around eating in balance, eating from the land, trying to keep those traditions, eating at the table together, that it's not around measuring your food. It's not around eating this and not that. It's eating what you feel like eating from the ground, and eating what's natural. Do you have anything to say about the Mediterranean diet as opposed to lifestyle?
I actually have nothing to say about the Mediterranean diet because I don't believe in it. I think is the Mediterranean lifestyle is a culture. Is the conviviality. The Mediterranean way of living, the Italianity way of living, is at the table, is in the kitchen. There is a saying in Italy, a tavola non si invecchia. At the table, nobody gets old. Because when you sit at that table, all the noise, all the confusion, it's out there. Okay? It's about savoring our food, and this is why we need to represent it. I remember the first time I came to North America, and everybody kept walking around with their food on their hand. And I think we need to kind of divide those things. We need to take the time to sit down and really enjoy food, because food is our medicine. Food is something that is really important to us. Tradition are meant for that. Supporting the farmers, supporting what's coming out there, supporting tradition, but not a diet. Everything is in balance. If you eat too much, well, you're gonna get sick. If you drink too much, you're gonna get drunk. So the idea is to eat everything in balance, but eat everything in seasonality. Cook it properly. That is the other bigger thing. Know to cook the product without abusing it. There is no shortcuts. There is no shortcuts. I take a word away from Massimo Bottura, that he said there is not such a thing as fast food. He says there is fast car and slow food, and he's right. Because the important thing is we need to understand that food is something that needs to be nurtured. It needs to be taken care of. Not that you need to go fast on cars, but what I'm saying is the idea is the respect. The idea is that you don't have to constrain yourself to have, twigs and peas pods and all that. I think is eating in balance, eating well. I'll give you an example. My grandmother in the springtime, when the vegetable you coming out, she would do this phenomenal minestrone. And as a kid, I hated it. I hated it. Well, I hated it because, and she was so proud. I could smell it. The rind of the Parmigiano she used to put into the minestrone. And now, as I'm talking about it, I'm salivating because there was le primizia, which is the fresh vegetable just coming out, and she would put them together into this pot. That was the most delicious thing. The pancotto that she used to make. So the bread from the night before or the day before, because she would go to the same fornaio baker to get the bread every single morning. And when the bread would get stale, she would keep it. And with this beautiful aromatic broth, she used to break the bread into this bowl, good Parmigiano Reggiano, olive oil. Sometimes she used to put an egg in it and the brodo. And those things are just super simple, but they are unique. The bread, we know where it was coming from. The Parmigiano, we know where it was coming from. The eggs were from our chickens, and the broth was made from our chicken. So it was basically a circle of things that they really made sense. And food and cuisine needs to make sense, and that's what we're proud of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're trying our little garden every winter.
Yeah, that's
here,
right. Yeah.
But it's not almost the same as what you did back then. But I think some of those traditions need to come back. So you know what? I want to say thank you to you, because you've brought me to Italianity as a munja cake to understand so much more. And even though we do our little skits here and there where I tease you about cappuccino, why can't I have it in the afternoon, and all those different things.
That's being stubborn.
You know, it's just, you know, you've done so much for Italian cuisine. You've done so much for the students in learning Italian cuisine over the 20 years. You've done so much in speaking on behalf of it and promoting the culture and Italianity with our retreats and everything else we do.
Yeah.
You are the pillar of it all, and I want to say thank you, Dario.
Well, thank you. Thanks for everybody. Then it's really, you know, I gotta thank people. I gotta thank you, but then you actually made me reappreciate again the Italian cuisine through your eyes, because, you know, sometimes we are habits. You know, we take things for granted, and I think as cooks, sometimes we cook for our ego, and we don't cook for our heart. And I think that is the most important thing. And you know, I've been fortunate to work with some great chefs over my 40 years career, and been able to work in some great kitchens. And as a chef, and give an opportunity to work with some people that helped me grow. Even if I was a chef, I grow with them because we learn new things together. So I think my responsibility now is to make sure that I present every single thing I do the best, and to allow the newer generation, or in how we do it, and to people around us, they come to our retreat. And Italy is not just a bucket of rocks. The Italy is stubbornness,
An experience for sure.
passion,
Yeah.
culture, and respect. And the most important thing about all, pride. We take a lot of pride on what we do. So I want to say thanks to Italy, thanks to UNESCO, thanks for everyone that have been able to give us this wonderful award, because I'm a little dot in this beautiful, beautiful painting that represents Italy. So I'm very proud of it.
I wanted to bring up one thing when my parents immigrated, and you know this story. So my parents immigrated from Holland in 1958, and so we went back to the museum.
That's right.
And it was interesting to see how they talked about the Dutch immigrants, but it was really big on the Italian immigrants and the culture shock that they had. So coming in for my parents, they went through immigration at Pier 21. They were put on a train and they were brought to Toronto. For the Italians, this is the way the story is in the museum, is their suitcases were not full of clothes, they were full of food.
That's right.
So they had the prosciutto.
Still is nowadays.
Their bread, they had all their olive oil. And as soon as they got to immigration, they took and confiscated everything. And they showed examples of, and I don't know, not many people might know it, I've never had it actually, but they would give them these cans of meat and they call them spam. And this is what they had to go with. So what a culture shock for Italians or anyone, even my parents being Dutch, to come over. I think my parents had more of a relationship with Italians that were closer to their tradition that they knew.
Yeah.
But what a culture shock. And I think that in North America, a lot of Italians have really kept those traditions and tried very hard. And it's because of that stubbornness, it's come of that pride. And now it kind of comes around in full circle. And Italy has been honored with this award, and it's due to all Italians cross-wide for their food and their culture. And thank you so much, Dario. And representing APCI, representing us at Live Your Life with the Mediterranean Lifestyle, and all the speaking and all the trainings that you do. So
Thank you.
Thank you, Darren.